everybody. So we're here outside of Myerstown, Pennsylvania. We're at the one of the 11, I believe it's 11 Union Canal markers, Pennsylvania historic markers. So this one says this canal was in use from 1828 to 1884, about 3/10 of a mile south of the Tulpehocken are the remains of one of the locks by which boats descended from the summit level north of Lebanon to the Schuylkill at Reading. And I think what this one's actually primarily talking about, there is one right down here, but it talks more about Tulpehocken Manors out that way. And those were the first locks that were actually built. I'm not really sure if they still exist, because I think the original ones, when they were built of brick. Now I think they probably transitioned over to the finished stone. Just lasted longer. But Cliff's doing a video series on the Union Canal, and he started in Reading and he's followed down. He's gotten the whole way over here. Unfortunately, he hasn't gotten permission yet to go to the Tulpehocken Manor, where I believe there's at least 2 locks. And those are the locks that George Washington actually visited. He stayed at Tulpehocken Manor. I believe Christian Lay was on his staff during the Revolutionary War, so they knew each other well, and his son Michael Lay continued to build upon what his father had built there at Tulpehocken Manor. It's a really beautiful place. I'd love to be able to go there, but we'll see what happens there. But we're gonna go visit, just so you can see one of the locks. We're gonna go visit over, I believe it's called Fairview Park. We're gonna go visit that, because that's one we can walk up to. Cliff just actually videoed there. It's a really, really neat and very complete Union Canal lock. So with that, we'll see you in a moment. All right, so we are here at Jackson Recreational Park. It's off of Creamery Street. I believe, if I was watching Cliff's videos correctly, this is where along here, I'm hoping, otherwise it's potentially a wasted walk, to find this Union Canal lock. But it does have the disc golf, which is the frisbee golf things here, so I would be under the assumption that I'm in the correct place. But I just wanted to show you one of the canal locks. It's in really good shape here in the Myerstown region. There's a number of them, but the idea behind the Union Canal came from William Penn, and that was, if you watch the Union Canal Tunnel video, part 1, which I'm hoping we'll be able to do part 2 on Sunday, because we got quite a bit of rain. So I'm hoping there's enough rain now, because all their water basically only comes from rain. They don't have any stream that flows in there, so if they're not getting rain, they're not going to be able to operate at some point, simply because the stream or the canal basin just gets way too low. But anywho, so I'm hoping it'll be high enough that we can actually go and do part 2 through the tunnel, so you can see all that. But if you remember, if I believe the part I filmed, she talked about, William Penn came up with the idea. He felt that the Lebanon Valley was a perfect place to do a canal, and that you could get all kinds of products from these fertile lands, and eventually get them, that they'd be able to make it to with Schuylkill River and Susquehanna, I'd be able to get them down to Philadelphia, and then you could pretty much take them anywhere from there because of their access to the ocean. But it took a while. I believe it was the Schuylkill and Susquehanna Canal Company was the original company, and they were commissioned to I believe it was 3 canal locks. For some reason they decided, we'll do it here on the Tulpehocken Creek in Myerstown, which at that time it may still have been called Tulpehocken. I can't remember exactly when that switched over to Myerstown in honor of Isaac Meyer, but they went ahead and started putting together these several locks. And like I said, they did the original ones, I believe, were done in brick. And unfortunately, they ran out of money. You know, a lot of these really big projects, there's, you know, a lot of corruption and stuff like that. But Washington had actually come several times to oversee and see the progress, because it was a big project at the time. And unfortunately, they ran out of money, and they sort of sat back and didn't do anything for, I think, roughly about 30 years. And then they formed a new canal company called Union Canal Company, and they sold like these lotteries that people basically could, in essence, invest in this project. And when they invested in it, they had enough money that they were able to start this project and then eventually finish it. I believe by 1828 the canal was finished, but unfortunately, even with that, a lot of the money that was allotted because of the lottery for the I'll go over here if I can see from here down the stream if we're coming up on the locks or not. I'm assuming it's down that way, but cool stone house up there. I know where several of the locks are, but this is one I was not. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's right down there. You can see it. But anyway, so we'll go down there. But they, unfortunately, I think they said almost like 80% of the money that was raised actually didn't go to the building of the canal. It was just, you know, we talk about today in our world, but there was so much corruption and thievery and all that kind of stuff. But they had it back then too. I mean, it was, anytime mankind has had the opportunity to steal from one another, they take advantage of it. So it's an unfortunate reality, but they had a lot of issues with that. So they always sort of, Union Canal sort of always had financial issues because of that kind of stuff, because the money that should have been there that was given by the public just wasn't given. But this first section of the canal was essential to seeing that it would work. And you know, the Lebanon area is what they call the I'm trying to think what it's called. This is basically a huge flat region. The problem with it is it's very much a limestone region, so they had a lot of loss of water. So that's why they had the feeder branch, the northern feeder branch that went from Union Waterworks to Pine Grove. They wanted to, of course, access the coal regions, but they also needed a healthy source of water. And the Swatara Creek provided that. Unfortunately, a lot of the water that they got just, you know, went to waste because it just so porous, the limestone and everything. But yeah, here it is. And this one is nice and complete for the most part, it appears to be. But this gives you a general idea. You just sort of have to imagine the doors being on here. But this is what they look like. Really quite extraordinary. Could have parked right here too. Slightly disappointed in myself, but oh well. We all make mistakes. Yeah, here it is. And like Cliff pointed out, there's those iron bar things that sort of held everything together. But yeah, very, very cool. This is one of the Union Canal locks, is what they will look like. The doors would have been right in this section here. You can see the indentation there on that side. And they would have opened and closed, and they would have raised in. This is a good example lock as well of why they needed locks, because this is higher, and then this is the top of Creek again over here, and it sort of comes down through there, so it's much lower than where the Union Canal is coming through. So they would come in that side, or say come in that side they'd already be lower, so this water would be lowered, because they would close the doors down there, so they'd let the water seep out. There's some things in there that open up slowly, and it'd throw the water out, and then the boat would either come in this direction and be raised to that level, or it would come in this direction and it would be lowered to the level over there at the top of Hawken Creek. And that was, just remember the word because my brain's not always functioning, but it's called the Summit. Lebanon was called the Summit because it was a long area that was really well just completely level, so they didn't have to have locks. But you'll get just past Union Canal Tunnel Park, and there I think is the first lock. But and that's pretty. And that's sort of probably how they made this. This isn't how it would have been back then in the 1800s, but the sort of how you would have had the doors would have sat and then come together and closed it off, and somehow the way that really did a good job with their technology, that it would seal and it wouldn't let a whole lot of water out. There'd be some seepage, but not a ton. But very, very pretty. You gotta love it. This history here. So that's a little bit of history of Union Canal. I might be able to throw up some pictures of the top of Hawken Manor, because that's, I think, the one canal lock, the last one that Cliff got permission for, is the one I believe they're specifically talking about on that historic marker. But this is another one right down the creek, right down the canal path. And there's another one that's down that way that they actually built a bridge that goes to the Bear Corporation plant that they built right there over top of it. Actually sort of works as the foundation. That's how strong these things are. And then the ones that, whether it's 2 or 3 of them that, if they still exist, that are on the top of Hawken Manor property, those were the original ones that were built back in, I believe, the early 1790s. And yeah, so cool. It was great having you along again, going on a little bit of a walk. Beautiful breeze today. This one will probably go up right away, and then next week, or this weekend, I want to try to get the New Hope videos for Fun with Ralph and John, get that up this weekend. I'm going to do it in 2 parts. And then start getting some of these videos that have been submitted by Colleen and Cheryl, Kim, and Angela, because I really want to get on those because they took their time to take care of that, and it's just been a royal mess as of late, just because of everything. Like, everything's going well, but it's just been tired. So a little beat after yesterday. It was a lot of fun, but took it out of me. But anyway, so I'm gonna get going, and we will see you on our next journey, and we will see you, as always, about town. Thanks, everybody. So here are a couple pictures of the Tulpa Hawken Manor plantation, a couple pictures of the buildings. This is the main building. This is where George Washington would have slept when he had stayed there. That was built by Christian Lay, added on to by his son Michael Lay. Here are a couple of the outbuildings, and last but not least, there'll be a picture of the Tulpa Hawken Creek going by. I was not able to find any pictures of the original locks, so who knows if they still exist. Thanks, everyone.